trigger objects. Trigger objects are the general term that encompasses the idea to try and get a ghost or spirit to physically move something. There are many types of trigger object experiment, and this can be one of the cheapest experiments to do, and one of the most spectacular if you get any response. The most common trigger experiment I have found is to place a coin on a plate and then lightly cover it with a thin layer of flour. This is done so that if anyone pushes the coin, the fingerprints will be visible, and also the coin moving will displace the flour and show you how far and what path it took. An even more simple experiment is to place an object onto a piece of paper and draw around it. If the item moves, then obviously the outline will no longer be around the object. If you have enough cameras to spare, then lock one off just focused on this. Make sure the entire area is in frame, otherwise you cannot guarantee that it wasn't moved off screen. It can be a good idea if you can get permission from the building owner to draw around furniture with chalk, so if you do get the rare occurrence of furniture movement, that will show up straight away. Some people think it is a good idea to use an item that in some way corresponds to the haunting. If it is generally presumed to be a small child that haunts a place, then use toys or try to find an object that dates from the time of the original ghost. Obviously, this is difficult, as you are second guessing when the ghost once lived. We use a very interesting system for trigger objects. We use a poltergeist box. This was made using clear perspex. A box was made that could be placed over the experiment. This box is then alarmed, so that if it is lifted, the alarms go off. This means that it can be left in a room with no fear of anyone interfering with it. Make sure that once the item is placed, you photograph it from all angles, as when you return to the item, you may think that it has moved a few millimeters, and on examining the photo you realise this isn't so, and it's just a trick of lighting a few hours later. Problems. The main problem you will face with this experiment is vibration. In old buildings, floorboards can cause something to move at the other end of a room, and so on your base test, try and see if there are any natural vibrations in the room, maybe caused by traffic outside or people walking inside. Drafts may also cause you problems, as it could cause the flour or talc to be blown around, and make sure you use an item with a small amount of weight to it for the same reason. And obviously, objects like marbles are going to have their own problems if not on a completely flat, solid surface.